Welcome into the second installment of NFL Coaster Concepts, Episode 2, the NFC North. For those not familiar with this series I've started, it's inspired by the Pittsburgh Steelers themed roller coaster Steel Curtain at Kennywood. I plan on doing this for all of the primary American professional sports leagues, but for now, I'm doing divisional installments of the NFL. Let's see what coasters the Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, and Detroit Lions will get on NFL Coaster Concepts. Once again, let's go over the criteria of coaster concepts. Team and player nicknames, the colors each team wears, where the team is located in relation to a major theme park or lack thereof, the most needed type of coaster in each park lineup, what the parks are installing and what manufacturers they're working with, and what type of coaster would best fit the theme. Starting off episode 2 is the Green Bay Packers. The Packers don't have a whole lot of team nicknames, except for the shortened PAC, found in their chant, Go Pack Go. Therefore, I think a good name for this coaster would be Pack Attack, which I think would make a solid Raptor model built by Rocky Mountain Construction, and would go to the primary amusement park in Wisconsin, Mount Olympus. Now, I know Mount Olympus is all about its wooden coasters in Zeus, Cyclops, Pegasus, and of course Hades 360, but I think the park is in desperate need of a major steel coaster for cheap, and obviously an RMC Raptor would be a great option. Even though Mount Olympus is 2.5 hours away from Green Bay, the Packers are the only team in Wisconsin, and Mount Olympus is the premier theme park in the state. Another park option is Bay Beach Amusement Park in Green Bay, which is much closer to Lambeau Field, only about 15 minutes away, but they only have one coaster in Zippin' Pippin. And for this series, I wanted to stick to major amusement parks where I could. A Raptor, however, would be a very good fit here, considering RMC is preparing to build one at an even smaller park with no coasters at all in South Dakota called Wild Water West. And Zippin' Pippin was installed 9 years ago, so it seems about time that Bay Beach should install a new roller coaster. Next, we have the Chicago Bears. And even though a name that could have worked in honor of the phrase Da Bears would have been Da Coaster, I went a different route with this coaster concept. A prominent nickname that the Bears have had over the years has been Monsters of the Midway, so naturally this coaster would be called Monster of the Midway. I'd like to think that some parks would directly compete with the popularity of Steel Curtain and would therefore contract S&S to build them a Hyperlooper model similar to Steel Curtain. Since the Bears are very important to the city of Chicago, like the Steelers are to Pittsburgh, I think a Monster S&S Hyperlooper works well for the theme of Monster of the Midway. This coaster would of course be built at Six Flags Great America, which is only about an hour away from Soldier Field where the Bears play. A coaster built by S&S also makes sense given the fact that Great America just installed Max Force, an S&S air launch coaster. Monster of the Midway is one of the best, most intimidating, and fitting coaster nicknames so far in my opinion, but I guess we could always just go with Double Doink instead.
And he hits the upright again! That's impossible! And the Eagles run out into the field, but there's still 5 seconds. So they've got to get back. He does it again.
Sorry, not sorry, Bears fans. Now let's head back up to Minnesota to see what the Vikings have in store. A nickname the Vikings D-line had in the 1970s was the Purple People Eaters. Even though that sounds like a horrifying concept, a roller coaster eating its riders.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I think Purple People Eater is a great name and would likely be an S&S 4D free spin at Valley Fair, which is only about 25 minutes from the Vikings home turf at US Bank Stadium, where this happened.
And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Pays huge dividends with the first sack fumble of the game.
And time runs out.
This is the end of the game.
And for the Philadelphia Eagles, the long drought is over.
Condolences to any Vikings fans out there. And Patriots fans too, I guess. Valley Fair hasn't added anything new in 13 years, with their last addition being the GCI Woody Renegade in 2007, so I doubt they would get any sort of huge investment, but a free spin is still a great fit. This model is also likely too, given the fact that it's rumored that another Cedar Fair park in Kings Dominion will be getting an SNS free spin sometime in the near future. Purple People Eater will chew up and swallow its riders, or I guess just spin them around a lot. I don't know, whatever. But an SNS 40 free spin is a fun and exciting option for Minneapolis's home park. The last team in the NFC North, who is oftentimes the last team, well, period, is the Detroit Lions. I'm starting to see a trend that a lot of team nicknames come from their defensive lines, because I also got this nickname from the 1970s Detroit Lions defensive line, who was at one time referred to as Silver Rush. I think Silver Rush would be an amazing name for that intimate impulse relocation everyone keeps rumoring that Michigan's Adventure will get. Whether it's Wicked Twister from Cedar Point or more likely Possessed from Dorney Park, Cedar Fair is going to likely move an impulse to a park in need, and Michigan's Adventure sure needs it. It's been 12 years since Michigan's Adventure has gotten a new addition, and that was their Vacoma SLC Thunderhawk, which isn't much to brag about. Plus, Michigan's Adventure is unfortunately almost 3 hours away from where the Lions play at Ford Field, but it's the most prominent amusement park in the state, so Silver Rush has to go there. Luckily for Michigan enthusiasts, Silver Rush would be the first launch coaster at Michigan's Adventure, and would have a really cool theme and hopefully paint job to go with it. Let's just hope that Michigan's Adventure doesn't go 0 for 16, just like the Lions did. And those are my choices for the NFC North coaster concepts: Pack Attack at either Mount Olympus or Bay Beach, Monster of the Midway at Six Flags Great America, Purple People Eater at Valley Fair, and Silver Rush at Michigan's Adventure. What did you think of my choices? Were there any good nicknames or ride models that I left out? Leave a comment down below your thoughts on these coaster concepts, and like the video if you agreed with them. Remember to subscribe to Coaster Jawn for more coaster concepts, and as always, ride on.